Have you ever had the frightening impression that someone is probing into your life out of envy and malice? That unnerving sense of being watched, as if someone is sifting through your history, seeking flaws to exploit? The murmurs, sneaky looks, and planned gestures of people seeking to locate a vulnerability to use as a weapon are not figments of your mind. It is an intrusive and unreasonable invasion of your right to tranquility. However, there is one important fact you must remember. No deed, no matter how cleverly veiled, escapes the divine's vigilant gaze. The plots that began in the shadows are already being addressed with a forceful, unmistakable force. You are not alone in this struggle. God's hand is acting, both visible and invisible, to disclose their genuine intents and ruin their schemes before they can truly damage you. The issue is, are you prepared to see how this divine justice unfolds? At the heart of these intrusive activities is a poisonous force, envy. This intense feeling often consumes others who feel overshadowed by your potential, progress, and the brightness you provide. Your accomplishment is seen as a direct challenge to their own fragile feeling of value, prompting them to demolish what they cannot generate or reproduce. They are fighting a tempest of inadequacy inside themselves, and their jealousy becomes a driving force, propelling them to undermine you in every way possible. However, jealousy seldom operates alone. More often than not, it collaborates with secret goals disguised as concern or innocuous interest. These people act with deliberate precision, not to understand you, but to use you. They look for every information that might be turned into a weapon to alter the story to their advantage. Their objectives are deceptive, with the goal of distorting the facts for personal advantage. When desperation sets in, when they see their significance going away, possibilities diminishing, and their hold on power loosening, their motivations become more darker. Fear motivates them to attack more aggressively, believing that hindering someone else's path is the only way to retain their own precarious position. Your achievement casts a pall on their false sense of power. Fear is the underlying emotion that drives all of their acts. Ironically, the individuals who probe into your life are typically more afraid of exposure than you are. They obsess over your every move, using you as a distraction to take attention away from their own shortcomings. In their thoughts, pulling you down is a method for them to protect themselves by projecting their fears externally rather than confronting them themselves. Their tactics are intrusive and unrelenting. Whether they employ people to perform their dirty job, use technology to watch you, or try to enter your personal life. This is not innocent inquiry. It is a deliberate attack on your tranquility. Their concentration blinds them to the damage they are creating, not just to you, but also to themselves. Desperation has a way of manifesting itself. Regardless of their conviction and concealment, their actions are evident to anybody paying attention. What they think is a cunning technique really displays their pettiness, insecurity, and moral weakness. The whole process is based on the big illusion of control. They believe themselves that their plans will ruin you, but they fail to see the spiritual truth. They are no match for the heavenly energies that defend you. They underestimate the strength of your foundation, the resilience you've developed through hardships, and the unbreakable protection that comes with being selected. Finally, they are waging an unwinnable struggle. Their acts, no matter how premeditated, reveal their own brokenness rather than your merit. While they try to undermine you, they simply exacerbate their own mess. Their intents may be evil, but the brightness that surrounds you will not be overpowered. Their behaviors are not only immoral, but often unlawful. To intrude into someone's personal life without their consent violates more than simply ethical boundaries. It is a breach of privacy, a betrayal of trust, and a flagrant disdain for human dignity. They have the false assumption that their acts are appropriate, yet this conduct has serious repercussions. Beyond the worldly consequences, there is a more profound reality. Violating spiritual standards exacerbates the misbehavior. When they infiltrate your life, they unleash a type of justice from which they cannot escape. Divine rules cannot be avoided, and when the time comes, God intervenes quickly, decisively, and unmistakably. Exposure is one of God's most potent tools for deconstructing their plans. The secret they depend on, the darkness that gives their plot power, is peeled away, exposing their actual goals for all to see. What they tried to keep concealed became public knowledge, exposing not just their deeds, but also the essence of their personalities. It's as if a curtain has been removed, revealing the reality that cannot be denied. Typically, this exposure backfires badly. The information they intended to use against you loses its impact or even becomes proof of your resilience, strength, and progress. Meanwhile, their own motivations and tactics are exposed, attracting the attention and condemnation they formerly desperately sought to escape. The spotlight shines on their life, leaving them exposed, defenseless, and humiliated. In all of this, the power of prayer and unshakable faith should not be overlooked. Divine justice is awakened when you choose to stand firm and trust God to fight the wars you cannot see. Prayer becomes your shield, deflecting every arrow and reducing every strike to dust. Often, God's involvement is subtle yet powerful. A little error in their plan, a missing document, or an overheard discussion might become the thread that unravels their whole operation. What they intended to hurt unravels before their eyes, and every attempt to harm you becomes additional proof to the heavenly protection that surrounds your existence. These instances may seem to be coincidences, yet they are not. Every twist, every little disturbance in their plan is coordinated by a higher force to protect and vindicate you. Their scheme's failure has far-reaching implications beyond the globe. There's also a spiritual reckoning. Plotting against someone who is protected by God is like fighting powers considerably stronger than oneself. That is a struggle they can't win. God guarantees that the devastation they meant is compounded, teaching them that no one can interfere with his plan. Finally, he utilizes their system to strengthen you rather than just dismantling it. The assaults, although terrible, teach tremendous lessons about faith, perseverance, and resilience. What was intended to destroy you becomes a stepping stone, driving you further into your destiny. Their failure serves as incontrovertible evidence of the supernatural shield that protects your life. The demolition serves as a warning to everyone. God sees everything. No activity, no matter how covert, escapes his attention. And when you are targeted, his reaction is immediate, obvious, and complete. Those who oppose you are not just battling a person. They are fighting the heavenly energy that sustains your destiny. When their deeds are ultimately exposed, they are forced to face the brutal truth of what they have done. Public scrutiny pierces through the carefully crafted facades they formerly sheltered behind, exposing every layer of deception they believed would protect them. The humiliation they tried so hard to escape now stares them in the face, unmistakable and persistent. Their reputation suffers the most severe harm. People who formerly trusted or admired them begin to mistrust their intentions, ethics, and character. The falsehoods they uttered and the traps they laid are no longer whispered in the dark, but rather revealed in broad daylight for everyone to see. Suddenly, they are alone. The identical tactics they used to influence others are now causing those individuals to separate themselves. Isolation becomes a reality. Embarrassment and shame stalk them like shadows, and the weight of being caught, having their plots exposed publicly, becomes terrible. The power they previously thought they had over you dissolves, falling through their fingers, leaving them impotent and exposed. However, this decline does not stop with personal humiliation. It spreads like fissures across their lives. Their treasured connections begin to crumble under the burden of their deception. Friends pull away, family withdraws, and co-workers maintain their distance, hesitant to engage with someone so publicly vilified. What started as a deliberate plot to damage you becomes a self-inflicted calamity, destroying the very foundations on which they were built. The ripple impact permeates every aspect of their lives. Their professions suffer, their social circles contract, and even their mental health suffers as they are crushed by the weight of their own exposure. The humiliation becomes unavoidable, a daily reminder that the harm they meant for you was the same destruction they caused for themselves. What they formerly sought to put on you, the weight of their falsehoods, the sting of their betrayal, and the shadow of their schemes, is now their own burden to bear. It follows them like an unstoppable echo, a persistent reminder of every failed effort to defy you. For individuals in the community seeing this develop, their exposure is much more than simply gossip. It becomes a warning story, imprinted on memory. It is a live reminder that no one can behave maliciously and leave unharmed. Their collapse serves as a public warning to those who may be harboring similar darkness, demonstrating unequivocally that the truth always emerges. This humiliation is more than just punishment, it's a reckoning. It dismantles every illusion they erected to defend their false image, forcing them to confront the naked reality of their motivations and deeds. The masks they so confidently wore are pulled off, exposing the anxieties, jealousy, and corruption that drove their actions. This reckoning is more than simply being exposed to the public. It is about being compelled to face oneself. The aftermath transforms into a school where lessons are stark, inescapable, and memorable. Their disclosure also demonstrates the overwhelming force of divine justice. What they plan to damage becomes incontrovertible proof of God's intervention, a real example that no weapon made against you will succeed. Their collapse isn't just about revenge. It's about demonstrating the futility of attempting to stand up to someone clothed in heavenly protection. In the end, their humiliation brings you something priceless: closure. It reassures your spirit that justice has been served, that the forces fighting against you cannot act without repercussions, and that every war fought against you will eventually crumble beneath the weight of reality. However, their demise is more than simply the conclusion. It is the beginning. It symbolizes the point at which you may go ahead, unburdened, vindicated, and strengthened. Their demise sends a much more powerful message than just exposing their plans. It is a wake-up call to wrongdoers worldwide, a warning that some limits cannot be crossed without incurring severe consequences. When someone attacks you, they are not just confronting a human, they are opposing spiritual powers. And in that war, they will not win. Their humiliation and defeat serve as an unshakable, obvious warning that such wars are doomed from the beginning. God utilizes their exposure as a signal, a spiritual broadcast to the world, indicating that your destiny is secure. No matter how sophisticated the machinations or how skillfully concealed the plans, they are helpless against the divine purpose that guides your journey. Their defeat underscores an age-old truth: no power, opponent, or conspiracy can disrupt what God has planned for you. And for those who see this, the revelation is both punishment and instruction, an implicit edict that traveling a path of hate against the selected will always result in disaster. It's a reminder of the high and unavoidable cost, a cost measured not just in humiliation, but also in the total ruin of those who dare to oppose you. Shame, disintegration, and emptiness are not unintended consequences. They are an exact mirror of the rule of divine cause and consequence. It is what awaits anybody who wants to hurt, destroy, or disrupt the path of another, particularly one under heavenly protection. Their humiliation is a living witness, engraved in the public eye, impossible to remove and ignore. For you, it's more than simply witnessing your foe's fall. It is a message of comfort that wraps around your spirit like a warm blanket. It confirms that you are seen, recognized, and passionately protected by powers that exist far beyond human control. You may have felt alone during their assaults, helpless throughout their intrusive probes or unsure in the face of their plans. However, as events unfold, the reality becomes clear. Your conflicts were never yours alone. You've been wandering with a holy and ancestral army, battling in places you can't see and demolishing traps you never knew existed. Divine justice operates with precision beyond our understanding. While they planned in secret, heaven prepared their downfall in silence. The gravity of their demise is not only symbolic, it is profoundly spiritual. It exposes an unbreakable law. There is a direct link between worldly deeds and heavenly responses. They violated holy ground by seeking to hurt you, upsetting a spiritual equilibrium they can never completely comprehend. Their exposure is not a chance occurrence. It is the restoration of that equilibrium, a divine corrective intended to reiterate the reality that you are untouchable when you live in harmony with your mission. God's message via their fall is intended for both you and the rest of the world. It is a call to humility, a sharp reminder that worldly power, influence, and manipulation are illusory, fragile, and transient. Those who build their ascent on lies, deception, and hatred may seem invincible for a while, but their foundation is shaky, and the fall will always be harsher, quicker, and more destructive than they ever dreamed. Your success in this is more than just vindication. It is live evidence that lasting strength comes from following the divine will. This reckoning does not stop with them. It spreads across the community, sending shockwaves far beyond the present scenario. It becomes a live example of responsibility, demonstrating that no act, no matter how secret or well-planned, can escape God's scrutiny. The message is unambiguous. Deeds have repercussions, and divine justice is unavoidable. It cannot be dodged, outwitted, or postponed indefinitely. Their demise contains more than just damage. It also contains a germ of change. For others, exposure is the tipping point, the moment they are compelled to look at their own reflection without the mask. While shame surrounds individuals like a thick mantle, it also provides a chance for redemption. And thus is the paradox of divine justice. It seeks to correct as well as punish, opening the possibility to humility, transformation, and redemption. However, that option is theirs to make, and many will reject, preferring to plunge further into denial. Most people are unaware of the layers of security that surround them. It is more than just a shield formed of faith or religion. It is a heritage, a spiritual legacy passed down through generations. You are guided by ancestral spirits, bloodline protectors who serve as sentinels over your fate. This is more than simply your current existence. It is about fundamental spiritual covenants established long before you breathed your first breath. These guardians labor diligently in both visible and invisible worlds, destroying threats before they reach you, intercepting spiritual assaults aimed at breaking you, and standing between you and those who want to harm you. This is why no human strategy will prevail against you. Those who oppose you are battling a spiritual army, not just one individual. This shield of heavenly favor has surrounded you from the day you were born. Your mission has grown in strength with each step you've made toward it. This shielding has allowed you to withstand storms that would have buried others. That is why every trap placed for you has failed to spring. However, this ancestral protection serves both defensive and guiding purposes. Inner nudges, unexpected gut impulses, and the unexplained tug away from danger and toward opportunity are not coincidental. They are your spiritual guardian's soft hands, guiding you toward the light, away from disaster, and deeper into harmony with your destiny. This invisible force guarantees that you follow the correct steps, even when you can't see the whole way ahead. Those that conspire against you, probe you, or strive to damage your reputation have no idea how serious the situation is. In their hubris, they assume they are dealing with an ordinary human, failing to see that every action they make against you unleashes forces beyond their control. forces that are motivated by divine law rather than fear. And heavenly fury is no minor thing. When someone assaults your life, they do not go away unpunished. Their punishment is not limited to legal or worldly repercussions. It extends to the spiritual realm and into their bodily life. Illness, disaster, financial loss, and shattered relationships are often indicators of messing with holy energy. These results are not coincidental. They are the apparent waves of spiritual harmony being restored. The legacy of this protection is your greatest asset. It gives you courage, strengthens your soul, and increases your faith. You walk every day beneath a covering that no human hand can remove. You are not just surviving your difficulties. You are conquering them, rising as a result of them, and bearing the unshakable assurance that no evil scheme can touch what God has intended. And no matter how many times you are targeted, how sophisticated the machinations or strong the forces stacked against you, your tale will always finish in the same way, with your adversaries revealed, their plans ruined, and your destiny unaffected. This is the truth of walking in divine harmony. You don't simply survive, you succeed. And you do it with the entire might of heaven and the strength of your ancestors on your side. It's a reckoning in every sense of the word, the gradual, unstoppable breakdown of everything they believe they could keep together. Their acts weigh heavily on them, like a never-ending storm. Their connections begin to unravel one by one as the stress builds. Friends, relatives, and co-workers begin to question the truth about who they are, contrasting the picture they portrayed to the reality that has now been revealed. Trust, once freely given, becomes a scarce commodity, and respect, which they may have worked hard to achieve, goes through their fingers in an instant. People who formerly relied on to support them are now keeping their distance, hesitant to be linked with someone whose reputation has been so publicly demolished. The irony is harsh. The detectives, schemers, and whisperers who set out to expose your shortcomings have instead shown their own. In an attempt to bring you down, they drew back the curtain on themselves, exposing the duplicity, insecurity, and moral bankruptcy they had tried so hard to conceal. Their hypocrisy is now evident, and the narrative they wanted to shape is permanently beyond their reach. This reversal is not just lyrical, it is heavenly. It is a live fable for everyone who sees it, a narrative with a lesson that is too obvious to ignore. It clearly highlights the pitfalls of behaving out of hate, envy, and lying. It demonstrates that no one, not the powerful, nor the crafty, not the apparently untouchable, is immune to the repercussions of their decisions. Every strategy based on damage will ultimately fail, leaving its authors standing amid the devastation they had created. The consequences are more than simply professional or social. They are very personal. They are left to deal with the guilt, solitude, and empty quiet that result when manipulation fails. The transfer in power is both reassuring and humble. It reinforces what your heart has long believed. Divine justice is not only real, but unavoidable. It moves in its own pace and style, yet it never fails. However, this one highlights a sobering truth, the significance of maintaining integrity even when insulted. Because, although the odds may be in your favor, how you behave yourself in the thick of the storm will determine where you stand after the dust settles. And when it clears, you stand unshaken, firm in your mission, and certain in the divine protection that has kept you safe all along. The fights you fought, although taxing, difficult, and at times overpowering, developed something tremendous inside you. Each strike, each time you were forced to stand your ground, increased the spiritual armor surrounding you. You will emerge from this season not just as a survivor, but also as an altered individual. You have a stronger intellect, a wiser soul, and a deeper commitment to your mission. The truth is now unshakable in your heart. No weapon made against you will flourish. God's protection for you is not passive. It is active, purposeful, and consistent. It operates in the shadows, detecting threats before they reach you, demolishing plots before they take hold, and constructing escapes before you ever realize you need them. This unseen but unmistakable energy enables you to face the future with unrivaled confidence. You are protected by a force that no earthly hand can overcome. And after the war is over, restoration always follows. God not only protects, but also restores. He returns what has been taken. He renews your tranquility and restores your steadiness. He restores your previously violated privacy and replaces it with an unbreakable calm. This repair is not a token gesture. It is the fulfillment of a commitment. And when God restores, He does so in abundantly. What is returned to you much surpasses what was stolen, and it comes with a greater feeling of security, knowing that nothing and no one can derail the plans He has in action for you. You've acquired essential things throughout this season. You now have an honed sense of discernment. You see people for who they are, not what they claim to be. You understand where to put your time, energy, and trust. You recognize the value of keeping your peace, setting boundaries, and being true to your spiritual mission. You've learned to be alert not out of fear, but from hard-earned knowledge. The diversions, false allegations, and underhanded methods were designed to derail you. Instead, they served as stepping stones, each one propelling you further in your quest for clarity, resolve, and strength. You now carry these memories not as scars, but as understanding weapons, tools that will help you complete your mission. You are asked to channel this development and perseverance into your goal, to utilize your narrative as a beacon of hope for others currently fighting their own battles. Your triumphs aren't just for you. They're for others who are silently watching from the sidelines, wondering whether it's worth it to keep going when the world is against them. You are living evidence that faith, perseverance, and divine protection can withstand and defeat any adversary. Your life becomes the example people go to when they want to give up, a lighthouse that reminds them that the light will always outlive the darkness and the chosen will always triumph. Those who watch your capacity to overcome hardship are not just witnessing a display of strength. They are watching a live display of what faith, heavenly protection, and unshakable tenacity look like when challenged by the most powerful storms. Your journey becomes a testimony, a living tale that others might draw on in their own difficult times. They see evidence that light will always penetrate the darkness, kindness will always outlive evil, and truth will always triumph over falsehoods in the way you remain unbroken in the face of adversity. Your perseverance becomes more than simply a source of inspiration. It becomes a symbol of hope. Those who see you ascend begin to believe that they, too, may rise. Perhaps they, too, can glimpse the morning after a long night. However, this success does not come without responsibilities. The covering over your life is a precious trust, a heavenly gift intended to protect and guide you, not a weapon of hubris or self-importance. It is not a shield to hide behind in pride, but rather a cloak to wear with respect. Gratitude must be the basis for every move forward. When you walk in thanksgiving, you maintain harmony with the spiritual forces that protect you. Humility serves as your anchor. It maintains your heart soft, your mind clear, and your spirit teachable even as your influence and reach expand. It enables you to stay available to people you are intended to inspire and assist, ensuring that your rise is for the benefit of others rather than just yourself. Some of your most valuable lessons have come from your hardships. They have shown you the precious worth of community and the irrefutable importance of support. Yes, your protection is divine, but even the most secure soul may benefit from the encouragement and affection of others. You now understand the significance of surrounding yourself with people who pull you up, pray for your success as if it were their own, and shelter you in their own unique manner when the weight of the struggle gets too much. These experiences have taught you to identify and respect those who really support you. as well as to remove yourself from those who would drag you back into disarray. You've learned to develop relationships based on sincerity, loyalty, and a common vision. Connections that help you grow stronger, not weaker, and that protect rather than exploit. Let this be your eternal reassurance. No strategy, conspiracy, or concealed plan devised against you will ever succeed. God's justice is not delayed, weakened, or subject to human acceptance. It is absolute. It moves precisely, hitting only when necessary. Every secret motive, whispered rumor, and spiteful deed intended to derail your destiny will finally be exposed for all to see. The falsehoods will fall beneath the weight of the truth. The traps will be disassembled before they can be triggered. The weapons constructed against you will be destroyed and dispersed such that they may never be utilized again. You are not traveling this journey alone. You are protected by a heavenly garment that cannot be penetrated and an inherited inheritance that cannot be destroyed. This heritage is more than just a source of pride. It is a living, breathing shield erected over centuries, powered by the prayers, sacrifices, and spiritual contracts of those who came before you. You take their courage, knowledge, and blessings with you throughout your trip. You are the continuation of their narrative, the answer to their prayers, and the keeper of a destiny scripted long before you came on this planet. Now is the moment to walk forth fearlessly, head held high and heart steadfast. You don't walk in dread. You walk with confidence, knowing that you're protected by powers stronger than any earthly power. Each stride you take is strengthened. Each choice you make is directed. And every challenge you encounter is already weighed against the unwavering fact that your destiny is secure. This is your opportunity to tell your experience, not only as a survival story, but as a live example of what occurs when the chosen refuse to break. Your life may be the beacon of light that guides someone else who is still lost in the darkness. You may encourage them to think that they, too, can conquer, ascend, and are deserving of heavenly protection. When you are chosen, you will never be abandoned. And while you are safe, no threat, visible or hidden, can change the direction of your destiny. If this message speaks to you and you want to support our work, please consider making a contribution. You may make a $10 gift by clicking the Super Thanks button to help us continue preaching God's message and giving hope to others. We are really appreciative for your assistance. Do not stop here. Make sure to subscribe to the channel and watch our next video for dramatic discoveries on the indicators that show you are the chosen one. Your donation, no matter the size, allows us to continue this vital job. Blessings to all of the amazing beings on our path.